Yeah, it's off. Okay, let's try that.
All right, now. Okay, now let's try that again. There we go, folks. All right, I'm on. Okay. All right, welcome everybody. This is Pastor Sherman Ray, and this is This Week in Prophecy. I want to welcome everybody to the broadcast today. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day in the Lord. As I was saying before, if I'm looking a little befuddled, if things look a little different, it's because I've got a different kind of control room here that's in front of me, and things are just a little bit off, and I'm just kind of just a little kind of screwy right now. So hopefully everybody's doing well. We are, and for those of you that are just watching, last week we had an issue last week where we had the show was supposed to be going on, and for some reason it didn't air. And so I'm hoping that it got on today. And oh, I'm all I'm doing is checking the sound on this, guys. So if it sounds really weird, that's because I'm just checking to make sure the show is up. It's up and running now, folks. So before we get too far going, let's bring on my partner in crime here on the show, folks. It's Aaron Newton. Aaron, how are you doing today, brother?
We are not criminals.
We are
Not
not criminals.
criminals.
we are we are so we are we're criminals for the Lord. How about that? We are.
Yeah.
If I'm going to get arrested, I'm guilty as charged, folks. Guilty as charged that I'm a
Yep.
disciple of Christ, man. So Aaron, how things going, brother?
I'm good. Just every day. I'm good. I'm good.
Well, praise
Got
God.
a lot going on
Um,
actually.
yeah, a lot of stuff has been going on lately, man. I'll tell you, this has been probably one of the most momentous weeks in a long time. I know it seems like a lot of people are going, "Oh no, nothing's going on." I mean, there's been so much going on, ridiculous. Spiritually, um, culturally, there's been a lot of stuff going on. We've got tons of stuff to talk about today, which is wild. So, Aaron, I know we talked about this a couple weeks ago. You got a brand new car, and well, I mean, it's not brand new, but it's new to you. And so, have you gotten? So, one of the things we were looking for, folks, if you're watching the show, Aaron has got, what is it, a 33 or a 23?
36.
36, and
Yeah.
and so his car is like a 36. I think it's a Dodge, right? It's a Mopar.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice car. Um, been using it for some ministry stuff, using it to show off and to kind of hang out a little bit. And you had, do you mind sharing that story that you told me about some guys coming out looking at your car and they're trying to witness to you, but then you kind of did a switcheroo on them there? Come on.
Oh, definitely. I put them both in headlocks, so you're gonna listen.
Yes.
so,
So
so
what
I
happened, bro?
remember
What
like
happened? Yeah.
uh, a while ago when I was, you know, doing the deal for this car. This was months ago, but anyways, I remember thinking, this will be good to get people's attention, and then kind of like preach the gospel, and then like later, I don't know, I was just feeling like I don't know how this is gonna work, and so I pulled it out of the garage, and I, I I took it to Cars and Coffee down on Eastern, anyways, and I saw these two kids, and they came up to me and they were asking about my car, and then they were trying to like talk to me about the Mormon, Mormon church, and I totally like switched it around on them, and I was preaching the gospel, and we were talking about a lot of stuff, and it really they just kind of sat and listened for a while, and I remember as I'm talking to them, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's working. Like I knew, God, this is how I was gonna get people's attention. Not that that I can or do it any other way, but it was just really easy.
Mm-hmm.
Like people just wanted to come to talk to me about the car, and then so that's how I just laid it on them. And I remember at the very end, that kid's like, you know what? Is there anything I can do for you? I'm like, yeah, just read the Bible just one time. Just read it just one time, and then um, you know, but do that for me once. And he's like, you know what? I will. And I was
I
like, wow,
will.
that's pretty awesome, because these guys are like, you know hardcore Mormons, but he's like,
Oh yeah.
I will do that. And the reason I said that is because there was I like to listen to people's testimonies. There's a good YouTube channel called Delphi or something,
Yeah, I think I
and it's
heard before.
basically just people just telling their testimonies. And there was this guy on there, and he was his family was like high in the Mormon church. His dad was a elder at the temple, and his mom was a uh, uh, teacher, not a teacher, but a professor at Brigham Young
Oh my gosh, so
University. Like they were
yeah.
big people in the Mormon church.
Yes.
And so when he went on his 2-year mission, which
Mm-hmm.
every 18-year-old goes on this, and so that guy was like, I was on fire for the Mormon church. And I remember I went into this Baptist church, and I said, like, I'm going to change these people. And he's like, when I left there, the man, the, the pastor had said the same thing I said to that boy. And he's like, all right, I'm going to do that. And then, but you'll see, I'll be back. And he
You'll
was like,
see.
okay, just do it once. And the guy read the Bible, and it changed, and it totally changed him. He went to the elders in his area, and it's like, I can't do this anymore. I'm leaving the church. And they got all scared, like, okay, we gotta send you home right now, and we need you to get back into the flock.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm done. So
No,
he
no.
left. He was shunned by his family and
Oh yeah. You better
everything. And
believe
then,
it.
but then now they're all saved. Now they all left, and he's like, it was just that one man just saying to me, just do
Isn't that
this,
amazing?
just
Isn't
one
that?
time, read it one time, and see how your life would change. And so I remember during that testimony, he said, what the hardest part was? Other Christians, it was the Christian people. They just hated me. And he's like, I wish one time somebody would just say, hey man, you want a bottle of water? Hey, are you okay? I probably would have happened a lot sooner. So anyways,
Well, and you
that's
know what? But it's funny because it's all in Jesus' time, though, right? I mean, it's always in God's time, and it because a lot of guys. I mean, I've heard guys, talk about, oh yeah, I'll read the Bible because they're basically they've heard it all before. They've got these classes, and all the classes show them apologetics, kind of the same thing that we do, but it's for the Mormon Church, and because they think that we're just lost, they're just completely lost. But every once
yep,
in a while, you find guys like the guy that you were talking about that actually are open. They're actually open. They're not just going through the motions of just kind of shunning you on or shining you on, and they're
sure,
hungry, and that's really it's all we can do, right? We can't
yeah.
convince them to. But interesting thing that you mentioned was that this guy's family shunned him.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, they all didn't want to talk to. He's like, I was basically just told to go away. And so he did. He said he left, and I
yeah.
think his girlfriend. He had convinced his girlfriend to come with him, or his fiance, or whatever, and they both got saved. But yeah, that's. I mean, we have a just. I don't know. I don't want to get into it, but that,
Mhm.
that that happens. That happens a lot.
Well,
So
yeah, it does. Well, which makes you wonder, because if I had if I've got family members, and we've all had family members or friends who were once Christians, and then all of a sudden they fall away. But do we shun them? I don't think we shun them. Actually, that's when we reach out to them even more. You know, um, but we would never shun them and go, okay, no, no, now that you're not let's say somebody becomes, you're a Christian, you become a non-Christian. Okay, I'm going to say nope, never going to talk to you again. Nope, never going to. Especially if it's a family member, you know, especially a family member, you're reaching out to them every day. As a matter of fact, you're inviting them over to dinner a little extra more, a little extra. you know, you're always inviting them to church, but shunning them. So it makes you wonder, really, what is at the heart of this religion, quote
hmm
unquote religion. Is it religion by man or is it of God?
well, I mean, it, let's not even look at them. Let's look at if you were a Baptist cessationist and you decided, well, you know what, I'm going to go to a non-denominational. They would shun you too. You are on your way. It just it goes to this. we need to be in our own camps. But Paul says, in Romans, or is it Colossians? Anyways, where he says, I'm of Paul, you say I'm of Peter, or I'm of Paul, I'm of Cephas, or whatever, and he's like, no, we're all of Jesus. What's wrong with you? Like,
Sure.
just because we have different values or views on things, we know that the Bible is our foundation for everything. But
Sure.
I mean, you're a little different. I'm a little different. Does that mean you're going to shun me because I don't believe everything you believe? I mean,
No.
It's bigger,
It's big. God is bigger than that, isn't he? I mean, our God is bigger than that. And it's funny, in the Christian camp, we're kind of just throwing this around right now, but in the Christian camp itself, we've got, I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, or at least I've talked about this maybe on another show. There are, I think, 40,000 different denominations in America.
Oh, gosh, I know. Yeah, something like that.
Yes, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of different denominations. Okay, so, and each one of them believes that they've got a lock on it, right? They're the ones, right? I mean, even us, right? I mean, we believe, guess what? We're non-denominational. No, we're not doing any of that stuff, man. We're the rock one. We're the rock stars, right? And so each one of them believes that they've got it. And then there are the Jews. The Jews who actually say, well, and maybe I'll break away here in a second, pull up my Tanakh. But they're going, so you guys, when you read this, what did you think this meant? And they go, can you believe this? Shmuley, did you believe? These guys believed that this meant this. Can you believe that they? And we go, well, what do you mean? Isn't that exactly what it means? And they go, here, sit down, son. Let me sit you down and let me talk to you. And we go, you got to be. So that's why it is so important that we kind of are more humble about this whole thing, and maybe say we don't have a. I believe I know one thing, and I know one thing only: Jesus Christ is Savior. That's pretty much, I know that. Okay, and the devil's bad. Jesus is good. Devil's bad. Okay, I think we can all agree on that. So should we shun our brothers because he doesn't believe, that he's not big on this or he's not big on that? Some people don't believe in the prophetic at all.
Yeah, well, that's exactly. I saw this really good interview. There's another website or another YouTube channel I watch, and it's, there's two guys, and they're just like you and me, but one guy is very cessationist and the other guy is not, and they get kind of both people on at the same time and have a discussion, and I remember these very religious cessationist guys come on right away, and they were like, well, do you think I'm going to hell because of my beliefs? And he's like, yeah. I was like, wow, that's harsh, man. That's really harsh. But that's what they're saying. Oh, what you teach, prophetic and the gifts and these things being for today, you're going to hell. And I was like,
you're going to hell.
Doesn't it also say in Romans that, I was reading it today. I was listening to it on my way home, and he was saying, this man, the leader, he may be sinning, but he's a believer, but he's sinning. He may lose everything, but he's still saved. And I was like, okay, well, it's so hard line. If you don't believe in this doctrine, you're going to hell. That's but you've also, nowhere in the Bible does it say the gifts will cease. It said, and they take it as, well, there's no more writings after Acts, so they must have ceased. But that was somebody who decided we're not going to put any more books into the Bible. I don't know what to say about it,
Sure, yeah. I told you guys I would sneak away and I would grab my Tanakh. So I did. I went over and got my Tanakh. Okay, so this is the Hebrew Bible. Okay, and it is the first 5 books of the Bible, plus it's got the prophets, major, minor prophets in it, and it's got Psalms in it. Okay, so this is the Tanakh. Okay, and this is what Jews read. This is all they read. I mean, it's pretty big, and it is. And I know some of you can see it. I'm sure some of you can see it. It's Hebrew, so it's Hebrew on one side and English on the other side, and of course it's written backwards, of course, so you can read it, okay, because it's the other way, and a lot of Jews believe, and many Christians believe, that we don't have the Bible completely unless we can actually read this in the original language and understanding. And it's tough. I mean, it is tough. It is right now. The Jews go through a whole different thing than we do. I mean, they do. Today is the first day of the next month. It's Ayar is the month that just started right now, and so it has a different meaning. And we're going to start in a whole different festivals, all this other stuff. Okay. Anyway, so I don't want to get in the weeds, but all this to say what we were talking about before is that these Mormon guys, they don't know. They just don't know. They're being taught by some guy who thinks he knows, and they're being led astray. I mean, they really just are being led astray. The thing that they are different than Christians, even in our big branches of Christianity, which is 40,000 different denominations, is that they don't believe that Jesus Christ is God. Okay, I mean, that's our biggest issue, and really that's a game changer. That is a non-negotiable, is that Jesus Christ is God. Now, the Jews don't believe Messiah has come yet, but that's already predicted. That's already, prophesied in the Bible that they won't. That they're not going to accept Messiah until a certain time. Okay, so that's baked in the thing. But they are God's chosen people. Okay, so that's kind of this. God's made provision for them. But so we just want to pray. We continue to pray for our Mormon brothers, and because it's not as though they're bad people, right? I mean, they're not bad people at all. They're misguided, maybe. Okay, they've been fooled, they've been duped, whatever you want to call it. But they are not what we would call evil people. By and large, are really pretty nice people, to tell you the truth. So, what are you going to do?
Yeah, and that's it. You gotta give them here's the Bible. Like, here it is. This is what it is. This is His word. And I remember, like, I did a lot of research on different denominations and different, like, sects of Christianity and what people call Christianity. And I said to him, like, I know a lot of the trigger words, right? I guess not trigger word. What is it when, like, everybody uses the same thing? Like when, the media, they all use that same word. And so it's like
sure.
you know what I'm talking about. Anyways,
it's
so
it's the,
you know what I mean? So
I know what you're talking about.
I use these when I talk to, like, people like that, and, like, I understand. So I use these words. I'm like, look, man, if one time, don't read the quad, read the Bible, the actual Bible, and not even King James, just New King James, And he was like, the fact that I knew what that meant, right? He was like, oh, okay. So you really understand. I'm like, of course I do.
Sure.
Like,
the pearl of great price. I think.
You got to be everything to everybody, right? That's what's possible. Yeah. When you were weak, I was weak. When you were strong, I was strong. When you guys were dumb, I was dumb. So that's what he said. You got to be everything to everybody.
Well, good. Well, I'm glad. So do you think? So you think your car is going to be that calling card a little bit more? That it's going to be something more? Because I know you were kind of saying, well, it first started that way, maybe not. But it looks like it might just be the thing, man.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see what God wants to do. I think so, but and that's why they came up. That's why they came up to me. It was because of the car. So, and then when they come up to me, they got a punch in the face.
Well, when you start messing with the tiger, right? You start messing with the lion, bro. You're gonna get the claws, right? You're gonna get the thing.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good.
I'm so glad for you. I am very glad for you. Well, some folks are, if you're watching us on YouTube, I really want to encourage you, get in on the conversation, you guys. If you've met somebody who's, maybe in a denomination, maybe trapped in a denomination that is outside of Christianity, and you've got a story that you want to tell about us, let us know. I mean, let us know. It's on our YouTube channel, and it's called This Week in Prophecy. This Week in Prophecy. We encourage you to do that. Also, you can write to us at thisweekinprophecy@gmail.com. It's thisweekinprophecy@gmail.com. And I know some of the folks were looking for us on Godstream TV, and I've been remiss because we've not been able to get it up there. I'll tell you, ever since Pentecost, ever since shouldn't say Pentecost, since I forgot the we just celebrated
Seder.
Passover. Passover. So even before Passover, we were having such problems. We were just getting so busy with stuff, especially at church. And I've got some news to tell everybody about that also. It's been so busy that I've been remiss in getting the show up on our other platforms, but fear not, we will get that up. But join us on our YouTube channel. I'm looking at it right now, so you can actually join us on that right now. I really encourage you to do that. Also, I'm going to post this on Godstream on our Facebook channel or on Facebook, so you can actually check us out on Facebook too. Okay. So, Aaron, you had a really pretty interesting vision that the Lord gave you just recently. It looks like very fresh, and I'd love to get talk about it right now. Let's go ahead and get started if you want.
Yeah, okay, let's do that. That was so this was actually Sunday night, Monday morning.
Okay.
And anyways, let me just read it and then we can talk about it. So I was walking in a hydropower plant, kind of like Boulder Dam is, where the water flows and it creates electricity. And it's kind of seemed to me almost like it was the 50s, I guess you could say, where like people were on a date. There was a lot of people there and they were on a day trip. So it was a big open cavern kind of thing, but I knew it was a power plant. There was people in there like sitting down, having a picnic. A lot of people just kind of there for the day with their family. And well, when I was walking through, I knew that the power plant was split in half, you could say. It wasn't actually cut. It was like Americans own the right side and the Chinese own the left side of this power plant. And so I was like, well, this, like I'm walking through, and I went into the Chinese side of the power plant. And let's see. So the other side was owned by the Chinese, and people would go there just like people go to Boulder City or Hoover Dam. I walked down to the Chinese side, and as soon as I got in there, this girl come up to me, and she was a Chinese girl, but she had an American accent. She was dressed like almost like a Japanese schoolgirl. Like she had kind of like that school uniform on, but she wasn't a young girl. She was older. And she came up and started talking to me. And as she's talking to me, she's just babbling, like won't stop. Like there was no breaks in her talking to me. And I'm just kind of listening. But there was little things that she would say that were let me knew that she was a communist. Like she tried to talk to me like she was an American or something, but she would say things that I knew that she was a communist and her families were communists. So like she said, what I know I talk a lot, but when I was a child, my parents never took me anywhere with them because they were afraid I was going to get them in trouble with the Communist Party. That I would say something, like just babble on and say something and they would get in trouble, for not, towing the Communist Party line. Maybe they were listening to American radio or something, something like that. And so, anyways, I knew that she was a communist. I could see she was walking. So she wanted to get to the American side. And, I remember when we were walking through the Chinese side, I would see the guards. They were dressed like janitors, I guess, like a big pair of coveralls, and they had this stripe down the side. And I would see them like pushing a broom, like staring at me as I'm walking by. And then like he would turn to walk towards me and then turn away, like somebody said, no, 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 don't do nothing. And so I'm walking and she's behind me, talk, 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 talk. And then I got these little tickets, and they were for like a snack. So I went to the machine, and you scan the ticket, and these two little snacks come out, kind of like moon pies. She got hers, and mine got stuck in the machine. And I'm like trying to get it out. I'm sticking my arm up there. I'm like, come on, come on. And the whole time in my mind, I'm like, when are they going to arrest me? I know they're coming to arrest me. I'm in the Chinese side. I'm walking with this girl. We're trying to get back to the American side. I'm waiting for them to arrest me. And again, I would see them come, and then like, okay, turn around, you know? So, anyways, so they just let us walk. I think they were going to come take me away. They were going to take me to jail. That's why I kept thinking, oh, they're going to take me to jail. They're going to take me to jail. But then they didn't. And so we just walked into the American side, and they never said anything to us. And I'm like, wow, like they just let us go. You know what I mean? And I remember thinking the Chinese side was so dark and oppressive, and the American side was bright and sunny, and there was trees and like people having picnics. Anyways, so then I woke up.
Yeah. Well,
Then,
you know that. Yeah, go for it.
okay, no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, you mentioned that it was so dark on the Chinese side, and I think a lot of people believe that uh, maybe not listening to this show, but people in general believe that, oh no, China's fine, everything's fine in China, it's a great place. You know, they got the big wall of China, got egg foo young. You know, must be nice, because they relate everything to what they see here. You know, we have in every city, major city in America, there's a Chinatown. Did you know that? I mean, every major city there's,
Oh, yeah.
and I think the oldest Chinatown in the world is in Canada, and it's way up near like Washington up there or something like that. It's way up that area, and so I think Americans have a different view of what China really is. So not only is it dark economically, but spiritually, it's dark. I mean, it's a dark place. They can say all they want about it's been around for 1,000 years. Oh, they can go back to this generation or that generation. But it is now probably one of the darkest places on the planet because of one thing. They don't. They kicked God out years ago. I mean, years ago. And a lot of people don't know this either. But China at one time was Christian. It was a Christian nation. And now and then the communists took over, and slowly but surely they just kicked everybody out. Everybody who was a Christian out of the place, but they had a Christian past. So I just wanted to interject that in there. That the darkness has a lot more to do with than just the economic thing that's going on in the country.
Yeah, and I'll even add on to that. I've been all over the world. There's Chinatowns everywhere. Tokyo, there was a huge Chinatown. I used to go there and eat the with the little buns, you know, the baked buns or whatever. But China, they so they were Christian. They were very Christian because of, you know, the Silk Road brought that in deep into that area. But they something happened where they were Christians, but they were also mixing Confucianism and these things with it. And one of the emperors was like, "No more, we're done." You know, but you could do it if you wanted to. Like, they allowed you to keep these things. You know, even in the 1700s, there was a lot of Christians in Japan. Now it's like 1%.
Sure.
But I've been to China, right? I went. It was like 2020 or 2000. I went in 2000, and I remember like feeling that, just
Yeah.
that, like this guy he had some trinkets, like he was in the Japanese or the Chinese army or navy, and he wanted to sell some trinkets to an American, kind of like trade, and
Sure.
they beat him up, took him away,
Yeah.
the MP,
Sure.
the Chinese. But
Chinese. Sure.
yeah, it was you could just feel it, and of
Yeah.
course, being Americans, a lot of the people from where I was stationed at, they're just kind of cocky and like don't understand that I'm
Yeah.
American, can't tell me what to do, kind of thing.
Sure. Sure.
But you felt
So.
it, and so yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Aaron, let me interject something here too. Right now, I think the biggest thing that we look at right now. Now we look at China as an economic enemy, so that we look at them as that. They want to reestablish the Silk Road. They want to reestablish themselves, and that they are the dominant force globally. But and we look at Islam as, oh, no Islam, right? No Islam, no. You'd let those guys in the door. If people put up a one of these Islam temples or something like that, especially because they're doing one now in Texas. You probably heard about this one in Texas. They got a little city that they're trying to establish, and everybody's all up in arms with that. And yet, the Chinese have Chinatown in every city in America, and we don't say one word about that. and how do we? And so, are they? And I don't want to start anything that if there's nothing there, okay? But how do we know that those Chinatowns are not just fronts for the Chinese government?
Oh, they're 100% that. So we look at China as these Chinese people, as in their Chinese heritage stuff, but you have to look at them as communists. Okay, it's the communism that burned down the churches and killed Christians. It wasn't the Chinese people; it was communism. Just like Russia, when in 1918, when Lenin came back and started the Bolshevik Revolution, first thing they did was change history, tear down statues, and get rid of all the churches.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you believe in God, you're not going to worship the government. So it's like the poor, there are so many poor, but yet they're infiltrating everything. These dark roots have spread out everywhere, and like you said, they're building roads in all these countries. But what we need to understand is they are not the powerhouse that we think they are. They buy and sell a lot of stuff. They own a lot of this country, but there's a facade behind it. There's so many of these cities they show, just like North Korea and Pyongyang, right? They show like this beautiful shopping mall and this and that, and you can't shop in it. You can't buy anything. It's just for looks. They have all these beautiful cities that are like, China, same thing. This is the city of this city, and they're all empty. It's just, there's nobody lives there. Sure. And so, there's being an actual favored by God powerhouse, and then I'm gonna take over with evil powerhouse, and what the evil one is going to crumble. That's all there is to it.
Sure.
They're trying to fight against us with the terrorists, and it's not going to happen.
Well, so you mentioned something that the Chinese are a paper tiger. Okay, so they basically don't, they roar a lot, but they don't really have anything in their own country. Well, do they necessarily have to have something in their home country if they've got a Chinatown in every city in the world? They've got tentacles everywhere. Here in Las Vegas, we're both in Las Vegas, so many people are wondering, well, where are you guys at? We're in fabulous Las Vegas. Chinatown in Las Vegas takes up a big, near the main artery in the city. It starts basically from the middle of town, and it starts going west in our town. It only goes up maybe a mile or 2 miles, but then it starts to go outwards, and it's starting to go outwards. So it used to be just a strip, right?
Yeah.
But
On
they've got
street.
banks. So they've got banks, Asian banks. They own property all over the place. That's just in Las Vegas because we're a very small town. But let's say in San Francisco, Chinatown is it. That is San Francisco. It's got Chinatown, and when you go down there, it's blocks and blocks and blocks. Have you ever been to Chinatown in San Francisco?
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been
I
to
mean,
San Francisco.
they take up, and this show is not about bashing China, okay? But it is to let you know that the darkness that Aaron's talking about here is something that is spreading all over the place. I mean, it's not just going to be limited to China. I was looking at I've got a book that I just got in, been just cracking it up and starting to read about, and it's called The Rise and Fall and Rise of Communism. So the title of the book is The End of the World or something like that. But the byline is it's called The Rise and Fall and Rise of Communism, and it talks about how communism has been going up and down over the years, and where we're at now. I even skipped forward because it started at the first thing of communism, and I said it's like the book is bigger than the Tanakh. It's a big thick volume, and I want to see where it's at right now. And guess what? Communism is back on its way back up. Right now in America, you've got, and it's been going on for years, where you've got a group of people that are basically saying, hey, we don't want anybody to feel like they're better than anybody else. It's all for the state, and we'll redistribute wealth, that kind of stuff. But there's always going to be somebody on top. You ever notice that? Always got to be somebody on top. And those are generally the guys who are saying, well, we're not the oligarchs. We're just richer than you are. And so that is the one thing that people don't realize, that even with communism, somebody is always on top. And it's generally not the people. It's generally, generally a couple of different families who got it all started. And they'll tell you guys just how much you need to have in your life. So it's, once again, it's still darkness.
I know that, a lot of their stuff, their innovation, they stole from America. But and this is why it's not as like how we seem. Yeah, I'm sure they have lots of things and stuff, but in communism, there's no innovation. There's no thinking outside of the box. So in America, we're allowed to think outside the box. I'm going to start a business and I'm going to do it this way. But communism, you have to toe the line. There's no, this guy, he's a genius and we're going to let him just work. No. You got to do whatever the Communist Party says. And so, for them to I think that was the biggest thing with our country, that a lot of people don't realize that we have the freedom to say what we want, think what we want, do what we want. And when you see that, like you were talking about, how we need to shut you down, we need to just love it, let these people in. They want the American dream. They're not going to do anything bad to us, which, it was all a lie. It's all a lie. Let's destroy our history so we can build this new socialist era. It's all a lie. But
yeah. I think that goes back to what Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez are doing a nationwide tour of hamlets here and there, and they're talking about the beauty of socialism, basically. Socialism is just one step below, if there can be, communism. And so they're really kind of preaching the same thing that a Chinese communist would preach. You are there, that the man, innovation, that hard work, that meritocracy is not the way to go, and that you should listen to them. Now it's funny, AOC, when she got into office, many of you know who AOC is. She's a congresswoman in New York, and Bernie Sanders, who's never had a job in his life. But both of these folks started out with nothing, and both of them, especially AOC now, is very rich. And just about 2 years ago, she was dead broke. You know, she was what, a bartender, and now she's
been 6 years, man.
Has it been 6 years now?
It's been a long time. She's already ran and won a couple.
Oh my gosh! So she's had enough time to be a millionaire a couple times over, then I guess, right?
Yeah, but she's been a senator the whole time. She started off broke, or a congressperson the whole time. She started off broke. How did she make this $18 million on $150,000 a year salary?
You don't do it.
You gotta, yeah.
Nah. Just the livings, to buy to rent a place out in Washington D.C., which is where she's got to have to hang out most of the time. It's astronomical. You know, you don't no. Somebody's giving her a lot of money. She's making a lot of money someplace, and but these folks go around telling everybody else, look at these rich Republicans. She's talking about you and I. Okay, she's talking about guys like us who are conservatives who go to work every day. She's saying those guys are rich and they're making money and you're not, and you need to stick it to the man. Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, can you give money to my campaign? You know, and can you pay for my private jet that I'm flying back and forth to across the country, and of course this new wardrobe that I'm wearing, and the Tesla that she bought. Remember she bought a Tesla, mm-hmm. and of course now she doesn't like it because it's Elon Musk. So, once again, it goes back to the
to share with you.
Good. These folks are telling everybody else that America's full of oligarchs, and that if you do not stop these oligarchs, that you're a boob. You know, vote for me, AOC, and Bernie Sanders, and you'll be just fine, right? I don't think so. This is not good.
You know, it's funny, right? You think of those two, and they're using terms of communist Russia, oligarchs. The wealthy, right? That was what the people in Russia hated, right? They're going to use these Russian communist terms and ways of life to make Americans think that we're a communist country. It's ridiculous. Like the old word oligarch, just that right there. That's the Russian elite who kept all the money during this, Soviet era. I mean, how? Well, I'm not gonna say, but let's just say, like, what are you thinking? What? I guess if you don't want to work, you know what? There was a socialist community here in America in the early 1800s. It was like the first real socialist community. It wasn't as like we think. I mean, it was socialist, right? It was in that value taken from Marxism, but it was the first true. It was built by a Scottish man, I think it was. Mm-hmm. Anyways, they tried to set up the social community. Well, you know why it failed? Because nobody wanted to do the hard work. Nobody wanted to be the blacksmiths. Nobody wanted to be the farmers. They all wanted to be poets. And so eventually the community collapsed because nobody wanted to do the hard work. I mean, what do you think it's just, they keep trying to push this on people all over the world. Venezuela, you see what happens. China, all these countries, Russia, you see it fail every time. And then, let's go to America. This is the new future is communism. It's stupid. I mean, if you're smart enough to say, I'm going to study the past, you'll know that it's dumb.
Well, none of that stuff works in America. I mean, it will work on a few people. But the whole idea behind communism is to get a rowdy group of young guys upset, okay? Disenfranchised, right? Let's find a disenfranchised group of young guys, usually young men, and get them whooped up and then arm them. Eventually you arm them, okay? You get them. Remember we saw this during the Summer of Love. Remember the Summer of Love? Yeah. That was in 2020, I believe it was, or 2000, something like that. But that was when we had that whole springtime of just places were burning down, Black Lives Matters, Antifa, stuff like that. That was, I believe, the first foray into them believing, we can do it. We can do it. We can overthrow this American government. We've got these disenfranchised guys, and we gave them a bunch of stuff, and they almost tore this country apart from within. You didn't have to have a Russian come by and do anything. You didn't have to have a Chinese come by. You had Americans fomenting the hatred of this country from the inside. Mm-hmm. And you know, it was an amazing thing. They think they're going to do that again. I believe they believe that they can actually pull this off. But I believe that the American people saw just enough of this, and they said, "Are we out of our minds? Are you got to be kidding me? We're going to let these kids burn down. My store got burned down. My neighborhood." There was a video that I don't think we're going to get a chance to show it today, but Adam Schiff, Adam Schiff, and Adam Schiff lost his luggage. As a matter of fact, can we do that? Can we show that video?
It.
Yeah, somebody stole
hold on.
it. Yeah.
Oh, all right. After that, I wanted to talk about this the dream. We never even talked about.
Oh yeah, no, we'll talk about it.
But yeah, go show about Adam, and we'll talk about that.
So I'm going to show you this video about Adam Schiff. Aaron, you probably won't be able to hear this, but we'll talk about it in just a second. Okay. So this is Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff had his luggage stolen, and this is what people said about it. Here we go.
I had an experience in the city that all too many people had. When my luggage was stolen out of my car, they tell you don't ever leave your luggage in the car. I never do until the one time I did. And of course, it got stolen. And what was most memorable about the experience for me is I went to this Target in South San Francisco, 10 o'clock at night, and I'm getting the toiletries I'm going to need for my next 2 days in the city. I had to get the clerk, which is hard to find, to unlock the shampoo or the whatever. So that's one thing. And then I get to the cashier. The cashier asked me if I want one of those Target bags with a little bullseye on it. And I said, yes, that Target bag is going to be my luggage for the next 2 days. And she asked me what happened, and I told her. And she basically said, in not so many words, yeah, Democrats are and I thought, you know, if the cashier in South San Francisco at 10 o'clock at night believes that Democrats are because the shampoo is locked up and my stuff got stolen out of the trunk, we've got a major problem that we have to address.
Wow. So that was Adam Schiff. So Adam Schiff had this his luggage stolen, and then he went to this Target store to, as you heard, he went to the Target store to get his toiletries and everything else. And the teller that was there basically said, "Look, this is ridiculous because of Democrats, because of these people who were trying to whip up the American people, and now everything is locked up because of Democrats." And Adam Schiff is basically saying, this ain't going to work now. We're not going to be able to screw these people again. And I think that kind of speaks to what is going on with the American people right now. American people have had enough, and I don't think they're going to take it anymore. What do you think about that, Aaron?
Well, there's two ways to look at this, and I just really haven't discerned which way it is. I mean, I'm leaning towards. Okay, so the two ways are, he knew what he was doing. He knew that this is, and now he's seeing that they're losing, so he's trying to like save face a little bit. Oh well, I didn't really know that this was going on, but come on, I mean, it's San Francisco. San Francisco is a beautiful city, and for all these things to be said, he just said, "Oh, that's not real. That's not really happening," or he didn't know, and he's a puppet, right? He's somebody they isolate and say, no, Trump's doing all these things. Trump's the bad one. And then he just does whatever they tell him. So, I mean, is he trying to save face, or did he really not know anything because he's a puppet? He's just a face.
I can see
where rubber stamp.
I can see where you get that from. I tend to think that the American people are seeing through this facade. I really do. I think that if you want reality, and I've seen this over the last year or so, if you want to find out the pulse of America, go into inner city New York, ask black folks in inner city New York, and they will tell you. They'll say, "What? He did what? I need money for what?" And and you go, oh, you don't go to D.C., you don't go to Virginia, you don't go to California because those folks don't know. They just don't know. But Adam Schiff went into the wrong place and tried and heard it straight from somebody who I think gave him it's almost like they put their finger in the air and they said, "This is the temperature of America. America is tired of the crud." You know, Aaron, you said you actually had a vision. You had a dream about Elon Musk. Is that what you want to talk about, or was it about? Let's talk a little about that. We've got about we've got a little bit of time to talk about it. So let's talk a little bit about Elon.
Before I do, let me get back to something real quick on this
Sure.
plant with the Chinese.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm having a dream about a power plant, and a couple months ago I dreamt about Spain. A couple of dreams about Spain. One was the boxes being lifted or dropped into the dry dock, and I had a second one where Cecilia and her brother were walking out, and we were standing on the back of this semi truck, and I stepped off of the truck and it smashed into the wall, and they were trapped in there. And I remember thinking, like, it's dark, they're stuck in the back of this truck, and all these people come out from this castle. They're like royalty, like Spanish royalty, and I'm like, can you help me? My wife and brother-in-law stuck in there, and they're like, sorry, it's not bad. They'll be fine. So anyways, Monday, after I had this dream, Sunday night, Monday morning, Monday, Cecilia tells me, hey, did you see what's going on in Spain? Like the whole country lost power, and Portugal. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird. I just dreamt about a power plant, you know? Anyways, I just kind of, I remember the dreams about Spain. I don't dream about Norway or Denmark or England. I dream about Spain. And here we are, Spain losing all their power. So I read the story about it today. I guess they got their power back. And the first thing was, oh, it's not terrorism. Second thing was, we don't know what happened. But yet we fixed the power, but we didn't know what the problem was. We just fixed the power. Like, how do you fix it if you don't know what to fix? That doesn't make sense to me. Oh, so I work on boats all day long. I got to know what's wrong and able to fix it. Sure. But they couldn't tell you what was wrong. They just knew they fixed it.
But something,
that's crazy. Yeah.
So maybe
somebody's lying.
Maybe they're keeping something from us.
Somebody's lying somewhere. Anyways, I thought that was really strange that I dreamt about Spain twice, and then Cecilia and her brother were stuck in the back of a semi-trailer in the dark. I remember thinking, like, oh my goodness, they can't see. It's dark. It's just up against the wall. What is that? Anyway, so you know, that's for to pray on. So here's this was April 3rd of this year. I had a dream that Elon Musk was a friend of mine, and we were driving around, and I think we were on our way to eat somewhere. And as we got out of the car, and it was kind of like a valet thing, we're walking into the restaurant, and people are yelling at him. And I said to him, I'm sorry, I forgot. And he's like, yeah, it's like that sometimes. So we walk in, we eat, and then we left. And I thought, well, I'll walk out first. If anybody tries anything, I'll tell them off. And then, but then when we got outside, there was a whole bunch of people who were on drugs. And he said, well, we'll see what happens. This is what happens in liberal cities. Like, he's trying to explain to me how he's learning about the work he's doing. You know, he's like, yeah, this is what happens in liberal cities. I knew we were driving in Los Angeles. Then we were driving a car on the freeway. I took a wrong turn and we got stuck. I didn't know how to explain it. It was like the road turned into like the metro rail, and then we were stuck on the metro rail. And if we just leave the car, we'll give. He said, "I'll give you one of my Tesla cars. You can have it." But so and then that was it. There was he pulled a switch, and then the monorail dropped, and we started going. Well, as I'm thinking about this dream, right, and he's telling me, like, yeah, people are, you know, they're yelling at me all the time. I can't do this. I'm feeling like he's like, I can't do this anymore. You know, this is just too much. Mm-hmm. But we were in Los Angeles, and didn't a bunch of, oh gosh, man, didn't California they got billions of dollars to build this metro rail to Las Vegas, and nothing happened?
They did.
five feet of track was laid and all the money's gone,
Yes.
or
Yes.
something happened.
Yeah, and they
And then
lost a bunch of money someplace, and nobody, and
Yeah.
Gavin Newsom cannot tell anybody where the money went to.
So I feel like that's just because of this, like that's going to be a big deal. That's
I
going to
would
be a
think
real
so.
big.
Well, isn't it funny how stuff like that happens, and then all of a sudden they just kind of, oh, all right, next thing. You go,
Oh,
well, wait a
Trump.
minute.
Trump. Yeah.
It's like, well, now, did you say that was $15 billion and it's just gone someplace? California went from a surplus of, I don't know, I mean, they're like the 5th largest economy on the planet, okay? So they're big. And if they were a nation to themselves, they'd be the 5th largest nation on the planet. And they went from a surplus of billions of dollars to being upside down, all within like a year. And it's like, well, where did all that money go to? You know, where did all this infrastructure go to? Where did all these shovel-ready jobs go to? Where did all this stuff go to? And I would say people probably need to look into it because, yeah.
I think it's strange that Elon Musk was the one driving me around,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then, so I had a dream recently, and I don't remember the whole thing, but it was Karen Bass was the mayor. She's the mayor of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And she was in the dream. And it was something about a lip ring with a butterfly on a lip. And like, she's like telling me, I'm going to eat. I'm going to have one rib. I got to get me a rib. That was it. Like, I don't know. There's more to it. I don't remember it. And I have to find it. But I've been kind of dreaming about Los Angeles a little bit lately. So,
Okay.
we know how that goes.
Well, you didn't read that. You didn't dream that the Los Angelinos or the Angelinos are moving all to Las Vegas, did you? Because
I lived that life. That's a reality, not a dream.
That'd be a bad dream. I'll tell you, a bad dream.
Well, look at what that whole group, like most of them, a lot of them moved here. All of a sudden, we're no longer a Republican state now that we have Democratic senators and Congress people, and we do have a Republican governor right now. But everybody else is like that happened within a couple of years, did it not?
Yeah, actually, it's this. So interesting thing you mentioned that we actually have a Republican House and a Republican Senate, and all of our representatives are Democrats except for one senator who is up in, I believe he's in Nye County, and so they're all Democrats, and yet there are more Republicans in the state than there are Democrats now, and that's in the last voting cycle. It went Republican. And yet we still have more Democrats who represent the cities, and because most of them are here in Vegas. That's really where it's all at. All of it's here in Vegas, and so, but we went Republican last election cycle.
Well, look at the presidential 2020. Like everybody is like, well, Nevada is Republican. It went for Joe Biden, and that was a big deal. That was a big deal. Remember, that was one of those. Yeah. Like, Nevada was very important to that.
It was very important, and so this last election cycle went for Trump, and so we'll see what happens. Anyways, Aaron, we got to go, bro. It's been so much stuff going on. We really did, and I'm hoping that as we move forward, that people start getting waken up. I mean, they really do. There's a lot of things going on underneath the covers, and we need to open our eyes and stop looking at the bright shiny stuff that's up there. Start looking for the deeper meanings of things, because things are happening behind the scenes that you just don't know about, and you really need to be aware of it. Amen.
I think you are that. You know what? I say it like this: stop looking at the dumpster fire and look at all the smoldering ones that have been put out.
Think you are right.
That got pushed to the side, because that's where you're gonna find all the good stuff.
You are so right. You guys, Aaron, we will see you next time. Okay, brother?
Yeah, see you later.
All right. And folks, thank you once again for being a part of the broadcast. I'm really praying, once again, as Aaron was saying, let's stop looking at all the dumpster fire and start looking at what's going on behind the scenes, because there's so many things that are going on underneath the covers, and we've got to figure it out. If you would like to write to us, folks, go ahead and write to us at thisweekinprophecy@gmail.com. That's thisweekinprophecy@gmail.com. We hope that this has been a blessing for you to watch the show. We'll try to get it up. We got to get this up on Spotify or on our Apple podcast. You can just go ahead and Google that, or on Godstream TV. Okay, that's right. So, folks, have a wonderful day in the Lord. We will see you again next time on This Week in Prophecy. This has been Pastor Sherman. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.